So, holozoic mode of nutrition involves five major steps. They are ingestion, digestion, absorption, assimilation, and egestion. So, first example will go with nutrition in amoeba. Have you heard of amoeba before? Where do they live in? They live in normal water. They live in pond water. But when you find amoeba in excess, it also causes a serious threat, a condition called amoebiasis, which is highly harmful to human. You can find these organisms growing rapidly when something is not washed properly. Say, for example, our water cans or the can water that we use, the huge can water. So, when it is not washed properly, you can find all these organisms growing. So, it is always healthy to maintain a hygienic. So, first we'll go with nutrition in amoeba. So when you take the structure of amoeba, they are highly irregular shape. It doesn't have any proper shape. So the outer covering of amoeba, always in a living form, an animal or any living organism will carry the outer covering called the cell membrane. So here the cell membrane is modified into a specialized structure called pseudopodia. So pseudo meaning false and podia meaning foot or feet. False feet. So the function of pseudopodia is it helps in locomotion as well as phagocytosis. It does two functions. One is locomotion. The other function is phagocytosis. I'll tell you what is this. First we'll go with the outer structure. Then it has an internal vacuole. This vacuole plays a major role in the nutrition of amoeba. So vacuole. Again, vacuole plays two important functions. One is digestion and the other is excretion in amoeba. So now let me explain how nutrition takes place. So I told you the cell membrane of amoeba is modified into a specialized structure called pseudopodia. So this pseudopodia will help in locomotion. The meaning of locomotion is movement. So the amoeba lives in water. So when they find its prey, the pseudopodia will help in uh, catching the food. So one is it helps in movement. The other is catching up of the prey. That catching up of the prey is called phagocytosis. I'll tell you how it happens. Say for example, when this is the food of amoeba. This is the food of amoeba. So the cell membrane will invaginate. What do you mean by invaginate? Invaginate means folds inside. The meaning of invaginate is folds. So the cell membrane will fold inside and they take up the food. The taking up of the food, you call it as phagocytosis. That is the engulfing. Phago meaning engulf. So it engulfs the food. You call it as phagocytosis. Now the food will enter via the cell membrane and it reaches the vacuole. So it reaches the vacuole. Inside the food will be taken inside the vacuole. You call the movement of food inside the vacuole as endocytosis. You call it as endocytosis. So you shouldn't confuse with phago and endo. Phago meaning just engulfing, endo meaning taking up of the food inside the vacuole. So now this vacuole will produce certain digestive enzymes. So it produces certain digestive enzymes. These digestive enzymes will digest the food and it will absorb the nutrient and it will send to all the parts of amoeba. So it engulfs, it digests, it will absorb, and the absorbed nutrients will be assimilated to all the parts and the waste will be excreted via the cell membrane. So what will happen? The vacuole along with the cell membrane, it diffuses and excretes out the waste. So now you could have seen five important steps taking place in digestion and the nutrition of amoeba. First is ingestion, next is digestion, absorption, assimilation, and finally digestion. So that is why when any living forms undergoing the five mode of nutrition, you call it as holozoic. So similarly, amoeba, pseudopodia in amoeba helps in digestion, and we have some other organisms like paramecium. Paramecium, in paramecium, the locomotory organ will be cilia. So this cilia will help in engulfing the food. Similarly, hydra, you can find tentacles. It helps in engulfing the food. Okay. Any doubts, children?